Okay, so we will officially start our program. I do want to make a couple of announcements that I started with while we were just chit-chatting. For those of you who will have the opportunity at convention, which is in New Orleans this year, super excited about going there. Jesse Zabal, who is actually on the call here and is one of our presenters today. We are super excited to be in New Orleans. We definitely want to have an opportunity for the senior women leaders to get together. We will have a happy hour for the women of the NAIA. And then we will also have a roundtable that we can really talk about and discuss, maybe challenges, maybe opportunities, things that are happening on your campuses. And then at the end of this presentation, I just want to do an ask of who could maybe take on the next presentation for next month. And I've got the date for that at the end. We definitely want to just continue sharing these different message points with each other so we can continue to learn and grow from each other. And then I also want to make a selfless plug or selfish plug for our senior women leaders. In the month of March, we have Women's History Month. And I would love to feature all of you. We are going to send out a form to all our senior women leaders. The form will include how are you making a difference on your campus? What are some new things that you're doing to make a change, make a difference? And how are you maybe even juggling some of the multiple roles that you have on your campus? But I want to feature all of you. So don't be shy. We can learn from each other. And we've heard that a lot of individuals have hired their senior woman leader, but they're still, maybe struggling a little bit about how to plug them into different roles and positions. So look for information on that in probably the next couple of weeks or so. All right. I would love to turn it over to our wonderful ladies. We've got Jessie, Kim, and Jessica, who are going to start this presentation. So their title is Leading Change in the NAIA Through the Conference Efforts. So I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves.
So Jessica Garriga, a math professor, assistant basketball coach, and assistant athletic director, senior woman leader. So a little bit of variety there, as well as the chair of the Women's Leadership Committee for SSAC.
I'm Kim Hayes, and I'm the bit of an odd duck on the call as I am not a senior woman leader. I am a biology faculty member, the faculty athletics representative at Dalton State, and the eligibility chair for the Southern States Athletic Conference.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am also with you in that odd duck boat, Kim. I am actually not the SWL for our university here, but I am the head women's volleyball coach. I assist for beach volleyball, and then I am also our assistant athletic director for compliance and eligibility.
All right.
So with that being said, I'll start. First of all, it's a privilege for us to be asked to just share a little bit of our story. I know Paige reached out to us and said, we have this space to share with women and to help them grow. And it's like, how did you get started? What are you doing now? And even though 2 of our 3 executive committee are not senior women leaders, we've done a lot of things, and they've definitely played that part on their campus and helped in those ways. So it's a privilege for us to be asked to share. And that's kind of the take we've had on it. The 3 of us talked and we just said, let's just share how we got started, and a little bit of a timeline, and as in how we've progressed moving forward, and then some takeaways and just any little bit of advice. So just going to kind of gradually share our story. So with that, I'm going to go into a little bit of a timeline to start. So if you'll get that slide for us. So the first thing, I think back, it was actually late in 2018, early 19, we had our first roundtable, and that was inspired by our commissioner, Mike Hall. He started the conversation just by sharing a piece about his daughter and some situations that weren't very good to her and the scenarios. So he shared that personal story and then said, I don't want our conference to be like that. I really want the women in our conference to feel supported and promoted And we want to create this space for you guys to have the autonomy to do so.
No.
And so we kind of started with a few people that kind of headed that up, but basically Mike gave his story, his initiated it, and then he walked out the room, and it was women. I remember that first time it was very casual conversations about like, what do we want to do? What are our plans? And we're just brainstorming. But it was that initial support that helped us to be trailblazers, as in what we're able to do with women in our conference and as well as into the NAIA. So we have a 3-person executive committee, where it's the chair, I'm the chair, and we have 2 co-chair, which I will
It's in the hallway in the middle. So I mean,
I would take this moment to just put a plug in,
Really?
because basically across the
try
board,
sitting out there.
the 3 people within our conference, there's no different. I mean, in our committee, Kim and Jesse, I speak volumes to them. And we make a great team. And so they're great, but we had that committee, the executive committee. And then we also decided that we would need liaisons for each institution. So we kind of put that into place to where we have one main contact, and then that contact at the institution can kind of help relay messages, help inspire and motivate the campus, the rest of the women on the campus site. Huge, which I'm not going to steal thunder here. We have a line item in our conference budget for this program. You know, things don't work if you don't have financial support and backing. So that's been great for us. And I believe Jesse's going to take you in a little bit more detail to that. And then, of course, a mission statement, which we'll see a lot of this in detail. A Woman of the Year award, that was something you could see to the right that inspired us and said, hey, what's another way we can celebrate the women in our conference? And we behind the scenes developed a nomination form and a process and some procedures for doing that. And so formalized it, and then we did a really good job giving a nice award that the recipients received. And then we decided we would meet quarterly via Zoom, and you can see 2019, 2020, it falls into where we start to hit a little bit of that COVID. So Zoom became really big. At that first initial year, you can see up to the right, we had about 39 members. So Paige, as we progress to the next year, 2020 to 2021, we had a little bit of an increase. It was about a almost 8% increase in members that next year. And as we progressed forward, we decided to, hey, let's do a virtual conference in December. It's hard for everybody to get connected, and COVID and all of those things, but we still want to visually be able to see and make connections. So we came up with the idea of a virtual conference, and our very first guest speaker was Jane Meyer, and Mr. Mike had a very close relationship with her. She was the athletic director at Northern Kentucky University. She's Hall of Fame. Her bio is just pages long, and she came in and talked to us about career making decisions. She shared her story. She had a lot of interesting stories to share, and then she chose to do handling, coaching student athletic issues. And I remember for that first conference, we broke down scenarios, and we had some scenarios. They would go to small group, discuss them, come back. And so although it's presentation mode, our virtual conferences are pretty interactive. We try to go to small group and let the women in the conference speak too. So that was nice. Started a book club that year. Actually, I believe Kim had that idea, and we picked a book. The idea between the book is that we would decide on a book. We would, Mike actually supported funding the books for our liaisons. So we send a book to each of the liaison. The idea was that the liaison would read it, pass it on to the next woman, pass it on to the next woman, so on and so forth, just to give some form of professional development. And then we would kind of talk about them when we had moments during Zoom conferences. And I think at that point, we started the idea of some professional development documents. And so then the next year, we really liked the results we got at the conference. So we had Brenda White, who you work with at the NAIA Director of Legislative Services. She came in. Her her take on it was she shared with us transitioning from a student athlete to a professional. You know, she had a career in basketball and then transitioned into that and all the way up to the NAIA. And so that was really nice. And she was real big on non-traditional forms of professional development. And it's actually what sparked our rolling document that I believe Jesse's going to share with us a little bit later and see. She was a big push in that, and that's been really helpful because, you know, we love professional development. We like to grow and to do those things, but sometimes, as you heard before, all of us have many hats, and so sometimes that timepiece is a crunch. So we're all about different varieties of professional development for different individuals. Jessie was pivotal in our logo. She had one of her student athletes help. So when we have these conferences, we also like to give the attendees a gift. And so this year we created a logo, put it on a tumbler, and the women in the committee loved that. We always love for gifts, but it was nice to now have a little bit of a personal touch to it. We continued on with our book club. That year we did Dare to Lead, Brene Brown. She was also one of the main speakers at the Women's Leaders in College Sports. So that kind of trickled from there. And then the Title IX video. So we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX. And Kim is going to share that with us and some more information on that. So excited about it. You can see that, I know she changed the thing, but the Woman of the Year award in that last slide, you can see it's nice. It's a really nice award that we share and we give to women. And at the conference meetings, we share that at the banquet. They get that and a nice award. So you can go ahead. Thank you. And then, so here we are now. Our virtual conference this year, Regan Rossi, just like you guys, I know she was on here a few months back, but I mean, she's NAIA AD of the Year as a female, so why not hear the advice of women who's just had success? So we also came in, had Regan come and speak to our group, and she shared some of her stories and experience and values. In that conference, we also worked on a values worksheet and also commitment statements. And just to take a few minutes, like the dynamic of our group with the three in the executive committee, we had a page full of values, like over 50 or 60, and we were asked to narrow it down to 10, your top 10, and then asked afterwards to narrow it to your top 3. And although Jesse and Kim and I all had a good bit in the top 10, it was really cool that my top 3 and their top 3s were all different. So like, it's really nice to work with a group of people that we really complete one another. And I think that speaks volumes for why we're successful, because we know ourselves and what we're unique to, but at the same time, we complement one another well. And so that's really good. And you can see we're up to 54 members at this point. So the progression where we started with 39 and we're currently at 54, it's, in time, it's over a 30% increase, closer to the 40s. And so, and some of that's affected by institutions coming into the conference and leaving the conference and so forth. But we're definitely promoting and pushing women to get involved and provide for them. So that's a little bit, I know it's quick, fast track, like in your face progression of some of the things that we've been able to do. So I think Kim.
No, my turn.
Yes.
So Jessica kind of touched a little bit on our structure, how we started, but just wanted to go dive a little bit deeper with that and just talk about how we handle that. As she mentioned, somewhat of a brainchild of Mike Hall. We really appreciate, his support of women, specifically in our conference, but just overall, and his, ability and desire to support us in our efforts of, being successful and being in college athletics. When we started in that 2018, 2019 year, we really only had an executive committee. And as Jessica mentioned, it was kind of a free for all to start. We didn't really know exactly what we wanted to do. And actually, none of the three of us were on that initial executive committee. We have all, grown into this position and been asked to serve in these positions. And we've now the three of us have been together doing this for 2.5 years. We're closing in on 3 years, I believe. So we also knew that, with all the work that we do and all of the stuff outside of this, we needed the help. And Jessica mentioned before that we did name liaisons for each institution so that we could share that workload and share that responsibility of, the plans that we make for each of our conferences, or if information comes in from the NAIA or Women Leaders in College Sports, or any of the other organizations that might be beneficial to us, we can send that to this liaison group, and then we can entrust them with sharing that information at their specific institutions. We know that we'll just have greater touch points if we have those connections versus us just sending one email blast. So that's how, we came to the decision and how we named those liaisons. They change throughout the year. Sometimes it's a voluntold situation. There are some universities and institutions that only have 1 or 2 women on staff. And we kind of look at them and ask graciously, can you please fill this role for us? And as most of us women do, we graciously take more on our plates rather than saying no, which is something we talk about often and we work through as a group. But these roles can change throughout the year. I think one of our goals with sharing this was to encourage other conferences, other even institutions, if you have a larger institution, to make more groups in support of women. And so having, more connection points so that it's not just 1, 2, or 3 people kind of controlling, for lack of a better word, the dissemination of information, the planning, all that kind of stuff. You can go ahead to the next slide page. On the right here, you'll see our current membership. This really accounts for all the women in the SSAC currently. Jessica did some really great work in crafting this mission statement that I'll read very quickly. SSAC Women's Leadership Committee fosters growth, leadership, success, and promotion of women as athletics administrators, professional staff, coaches, and student athletes. The Leadership Committee offers professional and personal development opportunities to its members to encourage women to pursue their goals and status as they strive for advancement. As you can see in that graph, we're high on the head coach side of things in terms of numbers. But one really cool thing that I do want to point out is back in 1819, 1920, the AD section was 0, and now we are at 2. So that in itself, I think, shows great leadership. And speaking to the growth in numbers, yes, we've kind of waxed and waned with the number of institutions in our conference over the years. But I think the growth in numbers also speak to the work that leadership is doing on their specific campuses to put intention behind hiring more women and putting women in roles that maybe they didn't think they needed to be otherwise. So I think our group has also put some focus on that to kind of show leadership at our different institutions that this matters, and we can grow the numbers still. Moving on to the next slide, I'll dive a little bit deeper into the finances that Jessica mentioned. We are incredibly blessed to have, again, a commissioner who was adamant about supporting us financially. Every year we have $5,000 as a line item within our conference budget. And then we offer scholarship opportunities to all the women in our conference for professional development and or professional memberships. We have a form that it's just a quick form to describe what we're requesting funds for and how it's going to help with professional development or what that membership in that organization is going to assist with in terms of your growth as a woman leader. So with that, you can get up to $250 for professional development opportunities, and then up to 50% for professional memberships. so far, we have not run out of money within a school year, fiscal year, however you want to look at it. And we push this a lot. We remind our membership, we say, hey, this money is still here, this money is still here, which kind of speaks to the existing challenges of, okay, well, I don't have time to go to a conference. I don't have time to go to a convention. If I get this professional membership, how am I going to use it? So we are continuing to identify those barriers and work through those as well. I believe on the next slide, we are moving into some of the things that we do, and Dr. Kim Hayes is going to talk us through some of those.
It looks like our video that is supposed to be there is not there. So I am behind the scenes trying to find that on my YouTube channel. So we took some time during the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and we just wanted to, as a conference, put something out recognizing the women in our conference as well that work as professionals, but also are female student athletes. So we took some time to put together this video. It was actually great. Jessica on her campus had started putting together a video for William Carey, and we were lucky enough, the voices that you will hear once I find this, the voices that you will hear will be her players on her basketball team.
It's there,
And-
Kim. I'm just gonna have to share I'm gonna have to stop sharing and share again so you can hear the sound. So it's there. So keep talking while I
okay.
go. You don't have to, it's right here.
Okay, good, you found it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
stop
we put this together just to celebrate that within our conference. So are you going to play it from your end, or do I need to play it from mine?
I was gonna play it from this because typically when you hit share, you can actually do the sound, but
Okay.
now I don't see the sound button. And if anybody has a quick, like literally when you hit share, you can usually do.
So
Sorry
let
about
me
this,
see if
guys.
it'll work from my side here real
Okay.
quick. And y'all will have to tell me if you can hear the sound on this.
Great.
37 words that transformed higher education and college athletics. No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity. Receiving federal financial assistance.
Were y'all able to hear that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So that video was just an opportunity for us to recognize the women in our conference, from student athletes to support staff to athletic directors. Definitely a big shout out to our SIDs who got kind of an insane email from me asking them for lots of random information and pictures, and they were very willing and helpful to share that information with us to create that video, which we've shared across social media. Our students have been able to share, and we worked really hard to try and represent as many sports as we could and as many institutions as we could in that. Another way that we try and share information about our conference with people is we do a monthly profile on our SSAC website, which is then shared on our social media channels, profiling one of the women in the SSAC conference. We kind of got this idea from several things the NAIA has done, spotlighting and profiling different people in different positions. I know they have the FARA 15, but we wanted it to be a little bit different in the terms of the questions that we asked. So here's an example. This is Damali. She's an assistant AD at Loyola. So you should be able to click on that profile page. Does the link work there? You might have to hit escape out of the display mode for the link to work.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Of course, just go down to the slide that we were on. Just scroll down to it, not in presentation mode.
Sorry, guys. You'd think that this would be my first rodeo. It's not. I'm just not getting any better. Women supporting women right here. Technical difficulties. Okay. And
So,
then,
click where it says monthly profile in blue at the
oh,
top.
up here.
There you go.
All right, right on. Okay. Do y'all see
So
that?
just move your cursor there. So, and if you just scroll down, this is what we're featuring every month. So here's a feature on Damali. We're just going to share some basic information about her, but we also wanted to ask slightly more meaningful questions, as well as some fun get to know you questions. The favorite part of your job, the biggest challenge of your job. We know that a lot of the women who work in intercollegiate athletics do start as athletes themselves, but not all of them do. So just being really clear and transparent about the challenges of our job is just a great way to teach people about what we do. So we try and feature someone every month, and we have been doing that for several years now. So you can go back to yeah, there we go. Jesse, is this you or is this me? I'm going to assume this is me. So Jessica mentioned that we have held a couple of virtual conferences. Those started out of necessity first because of COVID, and we were not able to meet in person for our conference meetings in Montgomery as we typically do. And we held the virtual option there. And we found that it was really helpful for people to have the virtual option, because while we want to participate in professional development, so many of us are carrying multiple roles. For Jessica and I, for example, we're faculty members and we don't get to pick when our classes meet. So trying to juggle professional development around Jessica teaching a math class or me teaching a biology class can be a real challenge. So that first virtual conference went so well, we decided to continue that on a December schedule. So we actually look at basketball and competitive schedules, try and pick a week or a day that will be amenable to people. We typically have it on a Friday because for basketball, who is often in season at that time, they're often not playing on Fridays. We know it's not perfect. This year's we held it on Friday, December 9th. It was a 3-hour block. And typically it's just a chance for us to get to know each other and see each other in person, which is really nice. Outside of maybe across the court, as some of our coaches, that's how they get the chance to see each other. We started bringing in speakers 3 years ago. As Jessica mentioned, we started with Jane Meyer. We also brought in Brenda White from the national office. And this year we brought in Regan Rossi to speak with us. We had a chance to kind of touch on our book club book because it's the first time a lot of us were together to just kind of talk about what resonated with us in that time. And then we also just try and work in something that maybe makes sense with the speaker's theme, or honestly, Jessica mentioned we did this values activity that was kind of born out of a combination of something I had done with my students and experience Jessica had at a meeting in developing her own Jessica, the name?
Commitment statement.
Commitment statement. I was thinking personal statement, but commitment statement. So that was kind of born out of that opportunity. We try and keep that event as flexible as possible. We know not everybody can block out the 3 hours. We record it for people. People can come and go as they are able. And we even make parts of that event available to our student athletes. So our female student athletes may be interested in pursuing a career in athletics or may be interested in the speaker we have. So while not all of the event is available to our student athletes, typically the speaker portion of the event is. So we email ADs and liaisons to get that information out to our female student athletes.
And on this slide that Paige has up now, if you go back to that one, sorry, Paige, thank you. Through these virtual conferences and through our in-person meetings that we hold as a conference, we all had opportunities to share like, oh, I just read this book that I love. I think it kind of started through our book club, but we started sharing all these other forms of professional development that we enjoyed. The 3 books that are shown on the screen right now are the 3 that we have done for our book clubs. But this link that I believe will be live to you once Paige shares this, with those that she can go to it now too. It's just a Google Doc that we've created and organized it by type of resource. So all of these have come from suggestions through our in-person meetings as well as our online/virtual conferences that we've had. So podcasts, TED Talks, convention or conference suggestions, things, most of this is, stuff that we can do in our own time, or those less traditional forms of professional development when we're thinking about college athletics. Not all of us can make it to the NAIA convention. Not all of us can make it to the Women Leaders X, all those types of things that would be great for us to go to because of our schedules and our responsibilities. We just can't make it work. So we thought it was really important for us to kind of create this living document that we can continue to add to and just have these resources at our fingertips for, when we need that little bit of push, or we need a little bit of encouragement, or we need a new book to read. We have a list that grows constantly. And we've even had some student athletes during those virtual conferences suggest some things that resonate with them. So we feel like it's a really great list to reference when in need of some new professional development ideas.
So thank you for bearing with us as we kind of crash course and do a lot at you of what we've been able to accomplish over the past few years, and very, very proud, and it's a privilege to work on this committee alongside with them, as we're all passionate about servant leadership and doing our part and, supporting and promoting women. So this space has been really great for us, and we're thankful that our conference is in support of that and, backs us financially and gives us the space to do so. And then like our big takeaway, the one I speak on, is just focus on things that build us up and not overwhelm. I mean, most women in the NAIA have multiple hats or multiple things. I'm a mom of 3 kids and I drive an hour and 15 minutes to commute, and each one of us have that. I mean, you can name every one of us on this call, and we're very aware when we put things together of time and availability is a challenge for people. And so we want to always keep that in mind when we're developing this committee and moving forward, so that even though you can't do it all, there's something you can do. And even though all forms of professional development don't work for you, that we find some form of professional development that works for you. And so I think that just being a big focus has really helped us find some success. And so, the next takeaway, I believe Kim, it's very personal to her. So we'll let Kim have that.
So my big takeaway I wanted to put on here is support women from all positions in athletics. I came to working in athletics in a very non-traditional route from a lot of people. I was never an athlete myself. I actually see Darnell Smith on this call. He and I were at Oklahoma State at the same time, and I just started out as a tutor because I was a broke graduate student. And it was a student population that I fell in love with and had some great mentors at Oklahoma State, and then opportunities began to present themselves as I was a faculty member. So while I live on the academic side of the campus, I live as much on the athletic side of campus. And so so much emphasis is placed on women in specific roles in athletics or as coaches or athletic directors, that your trainers, your FARs, on some campuses, your registrars, depending on their role, are playing this role in athletics, but much of the professional development is not geared toward them or just doesn't reach out to and include them. It doesn't come across their radar. So one of the things I've been very passionate about with this committee is trying to include women from all aspects of our athletic staff, all the way from, we have female presidents that join us, all the way to our FARs and registrars. If they're working with our student athletes, they are athletics professionals. And two, we never know where our careers are going to take you. I never thought, working with some football players at Oklahoma State would lead to me being a conference eligibility chair at one point. So those connections and relationships can be so important for us as our careers move forward, that make sure you're including all those voices at the table, because I think they each bring something unique to the discussions that you're having. And I think Jesse's got our third one here.
Yes. So, third takeaway before, we take some questions, if there are any, is that we really just wanted to create community. Our conference is pretty spread out, and so it's already difficult as is to stay connected. Like I mentioned earlier, some of our campuses have a lot fewer women on them than others. So to provide that community, to allow our women within our conference to know that they're not alone, and that we're going to be stronger together. I would say we spend at least a quarter of our time on every in-person meeting or virtual meeting, just kind of doing like event session. We started our last December virtual conference. I led us in just like some mindfulness, some breathing, just so that we can kind of like ground ourselves and be ready for the day and for what we were going to be there for, because we all know there's so much going on in our heads. But to just be present for each other and support each other, I think is one of the greatest things that we do. And to have that safe space to, vent about all the 5 million jobs that we have is nice in itself.
And I think too on that one, as I remember back to our very, very first session that we had, one of the topics that came up was a lot of young moms talking about, how do you deal with the stress of missing your small children and toddlers? And what do you do if you miss an event? And then you've got moms who have been through that and with older kids and said, here's what we've done. So sometimes it is just really, really that practical support. Sometimes it's just event session. Can you believe what this dude told me today? And other times it really is that you've been down this road ahead of me. Teach me how to navigate this road, because I don't know how to do it. And the colleagues that I work with on campus are in a different situation. So that practical help has been so amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even one of the other things besides just the support and the professional development is on the action side of things, our committee proposed to our ADs to declare the senior woman leader ahead of legislation. And we actually got that pushed through and implemented way before NAIA legislation required it. So there's also advancement in those roles. So we're very proud of our committee and the growth and the progress that we've made. There's still more work to do, always more work to do, but very proud of the progress that we've made in the time that we've had. So thank you for having us. I think you wanted to share a few things, but if we'll take questions, if anyone has questions for us at this time.
And Paige, if you want to go back one slide there, we do have, if anybody wanted the example of the funding request document we use, the forms for the Woman of the Year nomination, or just the link to that Google document that Paige shared, you are welcome to email me at that email address and we can send those links over. We're happy to share them. And we're also very happy for you to add any resources you would like to add to our professional development resources document. So absolutely feel free, just slap them in there. Don't even worry about the formatting. We go through and reformat it every time we have to show it to somebody. It's usually a mess, but please grab that email address and feel free.
And we will share it on our NAI Rise resources page as well. So that goes to everybody as well. If you have any other things you want to share, even if it's not a presentation, we want to just keep adding to the Senior Woman Leader resource page. Michael, any comments? I mean, this is your conference and wow, this is incredible what you all are doing. And I know you are so proud of the work that these 3 women are doing, and this presentation reflects all of it.
Well, you said it exactly. I am very, very proud of them. Just a couple things there. I noticed that Tori Renda from Faulkner University is on this call also. She was one of the original people on our executive committee, so we're going to give her some kudos too for helping her start from the beginning. One little statistical update. We do have 2 female athletic directors currently, and next year, because of the growth of our conference, we're going to have 4 next year. So I'm really, really excited about that as well.
Awesome.
So I just, I just gave them some ideas, and then I'm just getting out of the way, and then you can see what they're doing. So I am extremely, extremely proud, and I think that there's some real pros in the making here, and whether it's my job or another AD job or something like that, I can see these ladies very, very clearly fitting into those roles.
We have a couple minutes for some questions, and then we're going to turn it over to Ty Dean from our national office for some scorecard updates. Woo!
We covered it all, ladies. We did
Jessica,
it.
it's like teaching class. Jessica.
Yeah, you just.
That's right.
Yeah.
We asked for questions and then it's just crickets.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was so robust, I could see why there wouldn't be any questions.
That's what I tell myself every class period.
Hey, Paige, I just want to say just a few quick things and just how inspiring all of you ladies are, and what an amazing program you've put together. And just wanted to thank you guys for sharing all these wonderful ideas with us today, and just great job. Couldn't be happier. You guys have set a great standard for all the other conferences, and I'm in the middle of putting something together within the Continental Athletic Conference, and I can only hope that ours is a fraction as good as what you guys have put together. So congratulations. It's really, really inspiring. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would just say for these 3 ladies, although I have a different connection with them, they are truly humble women that are there to serve others. And when they say, reach out to me, email me, call me, they're going to be there every step of the way. And that is true in every aspect of their lives. So these 3 women should pioneer, I would say, the whole gamut, and they are wonderful people. So if you need something, other conferences, individuals, whatever, these 3 women are a huge, valuable resource to use.
Thanks.
Okay, let's turn it on over to Sarah's not going to be joining us, but we've got Ty Dean, who's going to actually, Ty, it's probably better if I just stop sharing, right? And then you're going to share the scorecard because you're going to pull up some things, correct?
Yes, and my camera's being weird, guys. So sorry, my camera's not showing. But other than that, I am here, and that is a terrible photo that we used right there, Paige. You might need to change that photo.
I think you look sassy.
Yeah, my face is all zoomed in. My glasses look all off kilt. Yeah, we gotta change that. But hey, hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. I know you can't see me, but my name is Ty Dean. I'm the Student Athlete Experience and Development Coordinator here at the NAIA. I've been here since May. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that presented today. That was amazing. And being able to hear that and see what you guys are doing, it inspires me to want to do more also in that part. And me coming up in this athletic realm and wanting to do more and learn more and be better at what I do, that this is what helps me get there. So I appreciate everything you guys presented today and put out there and gave us. I think that was amazing.
Thank you.
Let's see.
I think I've got it where you can share.
Yep. Is it my screen sharing now?
It's starting and action. Yes.
Okay, everybody. So I'm here to talk about the Champions of Character scorecard that we have here at the NAIA. Shout out to Lori Thomas, because she's one of the original starters of this program, from my understanding, which started about 20 years ago or around that time. The Champions of Character scorecard is something that the NAIA put together to help represent what our programs do at a high level. So our five core values is integrity, respect, responsibility, sportsmanship, and servant leadership. And that's what the scorecard strives to show from our universities. Last year, we had 185 schools do the NAIA scorecard, and we had 100 of those placed as gold members, which is a 90 to 100 points on the scorecard, which I can show you. 1 second. So this is our scorecard right here. So on this scorecard, schools fill out every year around June or July, and then I go through it and I make a whole compatible list of schools that have excelled and done great. And you can either get gold, silver, or bronze. Gold is 90 out of 100. Silver is 79 to 89. And then bronze is 65 to 78. And this all includes community service, award winners, ejections, and things along those lines. So as we see here, there are multiple sections to this scorecard that start off with promotions of Champions of Character on campus community. So just any kind of community service that you do on campus could be listed here. B is please indicate Champions of Character's training or activities specific to your staff. So anything you've had your staff do, whether it's with their student athletes or out in the community. Next up is C, which is, this one's the same thing as B, but for the student athletes. So what did you have your student athletes do? What did certain teams do? Did the basketball team go out and do a community service event? Did the women's soccer team go ahead and host a event with just the other athletes? What did you guys do as a university? D is for it kind of builds off of C, where it helps you list the team activities, the team that did it, number of participants, because we just want to see how many people are getting involved. How widespread is this? Is it just 5 people every time, or is every event you do getting bigger and bigger? We want to see what everybody's doing, and we're hoping that it can help lead to being more involved in hitting all the 5 core values that we have. So E and F are kind of based off the same things. They are just other community service projects. So that way we're asking just to do as many service projects as possible, pretty much. Each one has their own curriculum. So some are like book readings with kids. Are you going to elementary schools? Are you helping the homeless? Like, which type of different community service events are you doing? And then F, we have if you nominate a coach or a student athlete for our Champion of Characters awards. G is if you get the president or CEO to attend an event. H is what's your overall program GPA. And then I is about ejection. So say if your school gets 2 ejections, you would end up getting minus 20 points. The best part about the scorecard is that you're allowed to replenish 10 points of any ejection you get. You only get to do it once, which is the teachable moment form. So say if your school gets an ejection and you're like, hey, we have a 90, but if we can get that ejection to go away and get 10 points back, we have 100 points. So pretty much the student athlete will fill out this form along with a admin from your program that says the individual, the name, conference sport, the ejection of it. They'll say what happened, what it was, and then they'll write 100 to a 250-word essay about what they did, how they plan to correct it, and why it was wrong. And then the AD or campus admin that approved it will say, hey, I read over it, I talked to them about the situation, and this is what we did to correct it. So you can get that 10 points back. An example that I want to show you guys of a school that gets 100 points is Alice Lloyd College in Kansas. In Kentucky. So here, as you see, I'll just briefly slide through all this. They list what they've done, when they've done it, and it shows all the points they get, and they get a 100-point scorecard. They had a team GPA of 3.0 or better, and then they didn't have any ejections last year. So they didn't have to worry about doing a teachable moment form, which is what I talked about. And here's kind of a breakdown of what we see the scorecard as and what we want to focus on. So 67% of our scorecard is about character training, which I kind of talked about, which is community service events. The 8% is academic focus. What was the overall GPA? 17% of it is the character recognition. So how are we focusing on the character of the individuals of our programs? 8% is character promotion by helping our student athletes or coaches promote the character that they are and the values that we have. And then 40% of it is conduct and competition. And then I will show you guys. So if you go here, if you go to the website, this is 2017 and 2018, but you can go and you can click award winners. We have 2021s and 22s up from last year, and it will show you the award winners for gold, silver, and bronze. And you also do it by conference also. And that's pretty much all I got. So back to you, Paige.
Tyler, can I jump in for a second?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Everyone, I think what's really important and why the scorecard is starting to be talked about a little bit more. I serve on the Champions of Character Advisory Committee, and we are looking at this. We want to know, what this means to you as an institution. Are there adjustments that need to be made? I do feel, when it originally started, it was very popular. Everyone turned it in. I know in my experience that this means a lot to presidents, just to have that gold standard. So we're going to evaluate the whole thing, meaning like what needs to be tweaked, what's important. How do you, if we need to change anything that would put you at a gold standard, even the name, I've kind of thrown out the idea do we call it a scorecard, report card is what it is. So anybody have any ideas or thoughts around the scorecard, what you don't like about it, what you do like about it, but we just want this to be sort of something that each institution aspires to get. And so we're just looking for feedback. So anything, and I'll shoot my email in the text, but please send feedback to help guide us if there should be adjustments made.
I don't know if you want them right now or nothing, but one of the biggest things I've heard discussed about it is the ejection part for sports that I understand, like an ejection in a baseball game or a football game, those are severe ejections. But when you're talking soccer, it becomes very difficult because 2 yellows automatically equals an ejection. So you could have 7 or 8 kids hit those ejections and you're never going to be even a bronze star. It doesn't matter what your campus does.
So just to have clarification on that, and it's in our bylaws. 2 yellows for just hard play, rough tackle, those don't count. Mm-hmm. If one of the yellows has to do with profanity, disrespect of officials, and fighting, that's when it kicks you into getting a ding on that.
Mm-hmm.
So also I want to talk about this because we had this situation earlier today. I got an email about this. So like you said, when you get 2 yellow cards, it ends up in a red card, which ends up in an ejection. And it depends on which on the yellow card, what it is. So today, for example, we had one where a kid got their first one for throwing a ball down. The second one was for cussing at the referee, which led to the ejection. And so I oversee this part. So usually when these reports come in, we see 2 yellow cards, these 2 red. So I review the points and I review those parts to make sure that it is or is not an ejection, because I can change that on my part in the system. So we do check over that part, me and the director of officiating, which is Justin Gregg.
And it's all good feedback, you know, and we are looking to, you know, it's been a long time since it came into effect. It has had tweaks throughout the years. And so we're just doing another evaluation of it. So anything, please, you know, send a message.
Thank you. This is all great. I know we're almost finished with our time, and I wanted to just do another quick plug. I know some of you all just joined a little bit late, but our next Lunch and Learn is going to be, we had to push it back because everybody has holiday break. So this is a little bit later in the month. So typically it's the second Wednesday of the month. So I'm going to push the next one, February 15th. It's going to be on hiring, onboarding, evaluating coaches and staff. As we were talking here, Janet Eaton-Smith from Lourdes University said she would do it. So no one in this group has to volunteer today. She's one of the most positive people I know. She's been in the business for a long time. I think she will be extremely valuable in helping you with some of these specific touch points. And then we will be sending out this next probably week or so. We want to feature you as all of our leaders in the NAIA, our senior women leaders. We want to feature you during the month of March. Don't be shy. We want to know, how are you changing? How are you making a difference on your campus? How are you even impacting the budgetary constraints that you have, your hiring processes? Ted Breidenthal, who's on the call here, we've got some other great stories to share of Life University, how women are really making a difference at Life University, hiring women coaches, hiring people. They don't even have to actually ask anymore, that just women are coming in droves to work for them because it's such a wonderful culture. But they're doing things to really continuing to the next step of really making their student athletes feel like they belong on their campus. I'm not going to share exactly what that story is because we have a podcast on it. We're going to be sharing that with you all. But I do want to make sure every single one of you are featured. This will be super easy. It'll be a form. You'll just say, hello, I'm Elena Walker. I see her beautiful face on here. I am an amazing, powerful woman at the NAIA. Here's how I'm making a change here. And I just, threw these out there. There's other things that I'm going to work with our subcommittee on. We'd love to have your headshot, maybe you doing your job. Very easy, but other people want to learn what is your new role and what are some things that you're taking on. So just be looking for this email from the national office. It usually comes from NAIA Communications, but definitely want to hear from you all. I'm going to stop that share. We literally have 1 minute left. So does anybody else have any questions or anything to share? We are also running out of topics. So I think Lori Thomas leaves the subcommittee for this. So I'd love to kind of get that back out to you all too. What else do you want to learn? And we're going to continue to really learning from each other. So Lori, I don't know if you have anything else to plug in on that since you lead the subcommittee.
She may have left, Paige.
Oh,
hey, Paige.
Yeah,
very quickly. Also be on the lookout for a MOA webinar for those that are interested. We're going to be exploring MOA and why it matters and how it can help you, anyone in this industry in the NAIA. Also, for the commissioners, we are actively going through the process of trying to narrow down for the Governance and Leadership Academy coming up. So for those that are interested, please reach out to your athletic director and or commissioner for more information on that. We do have some participants from our inaugural year on this call today, so it's good to see familiar faces. That's all I got.
Anyone else? This is for you, so feel free to speak up anytime. All right, well, we will leave it at that. Have a wonderful day. We will send an email back out with the recording, with the resources. Again, if you have things on your campus to share, please do so. Send them my way. Would love to hear from you. Thank you, ladies of the SSAC. Woo, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a great day.
You too.